No, I just started Restream, so it's about to go live. All right, you should be able to go live on Instagram too. All right. Okay, I just shared the Zoom screen. Yeah, but today we're going to be talking about the difference between really expensive life insurance versus life insurance you get significantly cheaper, like simplified issue versus um, fully underwritten, and it makes a big difference. So about to go live on all the platforms. About to go on live on TikTok too as well. So let me know when you do that. But we should be live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Okay, cool. I'm about to join into to TikTok. Yep, you should be good to go. All right.
Here we go.
Okay. Yeah, got it. All right. You hear me? All right, perfect. Yeah. So we're live now. We're going to be talking about simplified issue versus fully underwritten. I guess for those of you that might not know the difference, um, you oh my camera's off. Let me turn that on. All right, there we go. You see me or no? All right. Uh, okay. All right. Yeah. So for those of you that might not know the difference between simplified issue versus fully underwritten, it could be like a 100% difference in terms of costs. So a lot of times when people get life insurance, they might go to a bank and then someone tells them, hey, there's this term policy you can get, right? What people don't realize is these term policies that are fast approval because people kind of like the instant gratification of just getting things done right away. If we're going to be honest, right? And these type of policies kind of play on that. So whenever a policy gets approved in a day and you don't have to go through any medical underwriting, just know that they're probably charging you a lot more than you normally would pay when it comes to it, right? And that's really the issue. Like I guess for you, Anthony, have you seen policies like that a lot when you come across clients in terms of what they're doing to get life insurance? Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you have health conditions, that's one thing, right? Sometimes people can't get approved for these for like fully underwritten policies because they're just going to get declined. So that's one thing. So it makes sense to get some sort of insurance just to make sure that you're protecting your family and getting the coverage that you need. But the issue is a lot of people get into these policies and they're healthy individuals and they don't realize they're paying like a lot more than they have to, or they just might be too like just not want to go through the full underwriting process because of whatever reason they don't want to get a physical. Which honestly, like if you look at the life insurance as a tool that's going to help build wealth for you and your family and everything, why not just go through the process of getting like one physical to get something that's going to overall be a lot better for your family, right? So that's one way you want to look at it, because all the money that you're paying the insurance company in extra is money that you're not saving and investing for yourself. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because I've talked to people like where I've kind of helped them in the process of like applying for IULs and other things, right? And some people, like as you probably know, you probably had this experience too as well. Like they're just not interested in going through the full process because it could take a month or two to get approved for a policy. Sometimes people are like, why do I have to wait this long to get a life insurance policy? Because my neighbor has a policy that just got approved within the last week. Like you could do what everyone else is doing, but at the end of the day, do you want the result that everyone else is getting? So that's one thing you want to ask, right? Yes, it's a long process to get a fully underwritten policy, but the thing you know is you're doing the best thing when it comes to applying for the correct insurance for you and your family. It takes longer. A lot of times, things that take longer are just better, right? A lot of times, that's what it is. So, if you could just take yourself out of that box and saying, like, why do I have to, take so long in order to get a policy or whatever it is, you'll realize that you're just going to be in a much better situation by just taking your time, being able to get the best rating you can get, and then saving more money for yourself in the policy's cash value or just in your pocket in terms of just less cost of insurance and everything. So, and there are different types of policies that are simplified issue. There are term simplified issue, there are index universal life simplified issue, there's whole life simplified issue. Not necessarily that they're bad products, it's just that if you can get approved for a better rating, you're going to be paying sometimes 100% less in terms of costs. So, and I know you've probably ran into the experience of people just wanting to get approved fast, and then like people lose, like just not want to go through the process. Have you ever had that experience when it comes to dealing with clients? I guess like lower credit scores mean higher blood pressure, I guess. they're like they're like there's more stress. They're like they don't want to take the risk. But like Brandon actually said something that like if you guys don't know Brandon, he's also like kind of big in the insurance space where he talks a lot about just like infinite banking policy designs and everything. And he said you should look at applying for life insurance almost like the same way you look at it as applying for a house, right? Because a lot of our clients, they're saving 20, 30, even 40,000 in these policies, right? And if you think about it, right, if you're saving that much money in a policy, you want to be watching it, making sure that your policy is maximized, your expenses are as low as possible in the policy. You're accumulating as much tax benefits and accumulation. You're taking full advantage of all the benefits and tools that you can use in that policy. So, like, if you look at it like that from that perspective, as it's a wealth building tool that you're going to be able to use for years to come, it's a lot easier to accept that it might take a month, maybe even 2 months to go through the whole process. Because a lot of people that do end up putting that money into the policies, they have more questions. They're like, okay, like how can I use this policy? Like how do the loan features work, and what's the cost and everything? Like people have more detailed questions when they're putting more money in the policy because they're more intentional about what they're trying to do with it. Yeah. Yeah, and figuring out your goals and what you're trying to accomplish is really big because, like we said, there are clients that they're able to save, 5,000 a month, and there's clients that are able to save 500 a month. So sometimes people ask what the cost is. Well, it just depends on your situation and what your death benefit is and how you plan on funding it. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with having a starting point. Like you could have a great policy design just saving $500 a month with a relatively low death benefit. So just figuring out what you can do and what you can commit to and just sticking to the plan. The problem is what a lot of people do is they they set this expectation like I'm gonna save this amount a month, or they're overzealous and they try to say I'm gonna be able to commit to this number, $1,000 a month, and they just don't do it. Like they do it for a few months and then they stop, right? So it's really important to find a number that you feel comfortable saving on a monthly basis and you consistently do it, because wealth is built over time. It's not going to be built overnight. It's not the type of thing where you save once and all of a sudden like you're set for life. That's not how it works. Whether it's insurance or like any other investment that you're saving money into, like it's a consistent process of being prudent and intentional about continuously saving for your future. Margin for error. Yeah. Yeah. And also life expectancy. And probably less reckless driving and stuff like that, probably. but but yeah, yeah, just keep taking in all those factors and just figuring out a policy design that makes sense for you is the best way to go about it. Just um, because I can't tell you like how many like because I'm relatively conservative when it comes to building policy designs for people. When they do come up with situations where they need to freeze their premium, they're able to do it, right? Um, and that's only from like previous experience from like different situation of clients where they said I'm going to be able to save this amount. So I've realized just because someone says that, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to commit to it. So for me, I always lean towards the area of caution just to make sure my client doesn't lose money. So that's really what it is. Like I don't want my client to lose money, and um, really, like when your policy is max funded, after the first month or two saving in the policy, you could technically freeze the premium for the whole year and your policy won't lapse. So you have so much margin for error. So if the expectation is, hey, I need to put 12,000 a year in my policy, and yes, the client commits to that. If for whatever reason they only save half that amount, they're still well over the minimum, and they're still going to have some credits. Ideally, you want to max fund your policy to hit the best result, to get the best cash accumulation and tax benefits, but you um, I like to have that margin of error just in case something happens that the client can freeze the premium. Something happens in the car, the kids need something, the wife needs something. Like something's always coming up. So having that flexibility of being able to do that is really, really important in terms of creating a financial plan and a financial like future for yourself. Mhm. Yep, 100%. Having flexibility, access, liquidity, having money within the first 30 days, those are all relatively important. But to kind of close this call, I just really want to say this. The end message is this: is don't try to be quick with your life insurance when you're applying for it, because you're going to end up with a really expensive policy that and probably not the best design, right? You want to make sure what you're doing is going to position you, even if it's a term policy. Like, you don't want to be lazy with that either, because you could be saving a lot of money. Like, I've seen policies of people getting, a few million in death benefit, and they're paying like 100% more. Like, they're paying, 150 versus, $75 they could be paying, or $70 they could be paying. So I think it's pretty important to just not try to be like lazy when it comes to it, and just try to just go, if you're relatively healthy, go through the full underwriting process, because it's going to be a lot better for your long-term future. And I kind of want to just end with that point. It's kind of like the message of this. But mhm, yeah. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, cost only matters in the absence of value, right? But yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to leave as a message for you guys. Just make sure you don't be make sure you're not lazy when it comes to applying for life insurance. It might take long. It might take even a month sometimes, and that's not uncommon. So go through the process. Try to get the best thing you could get approved for you and your family, and you'll be happy you did it once you look, 5, 10 years in the future, because of all the money you saved, and rather than trying to be quick. But I guess before we end, like, where is a good place for them to find you, Anthony, if they want to, you know, learn more about these concepts, whether it's about term life insurance or just like saving and investing for retirement? Like, where would they be able to find you? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, financial underscore ownership is my TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, you also can find me up with that same username on Instagram too as well, and all the other platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and yeah, YouTube, Facebook, and all the other platforms. It's just going to be financial ownership, just two words, no underscore. And if you guys are interested in, listening to financial improvement content, ways to save and invest for retirement, save against taxes, hedge against market risk, just make sure you follow my page and tune into the content. Yep, 100%. Have a good one, guys.